Tyree.
Awesome. We're good. We're good. DISCA family, how we doing? Man, y'all, listen, man, this is all right. This is a wake-up call. We had a few drinks, some good hors d'oeuvres. Well, listen, I want to celebrate these amazing scholarship. Just give them one quick round of applause real quick because so now I know that there's a young lady that's raising up in the future. Just as I'm getting older, I want to keep my eyes on the nurses. I mean, the guy's clearly got better hair than me that, is going to be in the film industry. Just look out for me on your next project. I got a boat, catching the balls on your helmet, but, 90 days on the sea. That's pretty impressive. So I just want to congratulate all the families as well, because at the end of the day, when you're thinking about just your life and the human experience, it really takes a family environment and all these things for people's dreams to be realized. Any Giants fans? We in the house? We here? We here? Any miserable Jets fans? I know I met one earlier, right? How about Buffalo Bills? Anybody? Any Johnny come latelys? No? I think I heard of Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Any Cowboy fans? They're usually like Roach. There you go. You got to gauge the room just so you know what you're dealing with. Well, listen, to kind of start this out, obviously, to be known for a moment is pretty significant. So I'll do a little, and I think anyone desiring to be excellent at their craft never wants to be subsidized to a particular moment or a particular thing or a particular skill, right? And obviously, most of us, let's say we're seasoned in age. We got a few young people here. We're seasoned. That's like Laurie's season, just good flavor. But when I kind of consider this journey and what I really want to set the stage for, I want everybody to catch their moment. I think the human experience, I'm ripe. I'm 44 years old, but I got 7 kids, so I'm like 80, right? I'm like Yoda. I'm the youngest Yoda you've ever met. And, call me Obi-Wan, and really, that gives me 21 years old, it was a moment that set the stage of my life from a standpoint of responsibility. I had a child at 21 years old at Syracuse University, not the plan, definitely not the plan. On my scholarship, don't you, right? So, but life happens. So, but let's rewind the tape and let's go to good times really quick, because I think there's something so significant. I want everyone here to pay attention. There's always going to be markers in your life. For me, a lot of things have come in threes. I can remember back in 2014 when I came back to the New York Football Giants in the front office role. That if you could remember that, obviously, times were starting to get hard in Big Blue Country. And there was this monumental moment against the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Eli's elder in age, but there's this young emerging talent whom people know very well. Eli, he finds a moment, escapes the pocket, throws a ball down the sideline, and there's Odell Beckham Jr., who makes this amazing catch with 3 fingers. 3 fingers. This is my first season back with the team, and here I am, eyes view to one of the greatest moments where he actually broke the internet. Right? Like, golly, that's pretty. I had to go ahead and just pay a little bit of homage to the little boy, And so I found that to be pretty profound that here I am, first season back in the front office. Well, let's take it back to 2012. These were good times. You might remember Indianapolis, the Indianapolis Super Bowl. And they invited me back in town just to harass Rodney Harrison on NBC. So I had a great time, Pre-game, I'm over there with Costas and Rodney Harrison, and I choose to stand on the sideline and, just kind of just gauge, take my alumni privileges on the sideline instead of returning to my seat. Well, lo and behold, I just want to know, when you're a couple years away from this kind of emotional experience, it's probably not a good idea to be sitting that close to an intense rematch of what they call rubber band match against from your former employer to your nemesis, right? But I'm getting bird's eye view, and Eli Manning, there he is, 4th quarter. We know what happens, and they need to play. And what does Eli do? He drops one in the bucket. Mario Manningham does the most amazing Gregory Hines ballerina toe tap. It was the perfect pass. And, sets the stage for another iconic moment in sports. Well, of course, I got to take you back to 2008, which we all just kind of remember very well, February 3rd. 2008, and we're playing this undefeated Patriots team. And so that's my second moment. This third moment, right, talk about threes, is the moment that changed my life forever. It's the moment that I found fulfillment. And, Eli, who's this young Simba, Lion King is out in Rockaway theaters right now for the 30th or 40th anniversary. Just go check it out, But, he has his moment. He's the young kid, and he's got the lion's mane, and everybody counted us out. And I think everybody has these moments, and I want you to pay attention to yours. And as I finish taking you on this little trajectory, but obviously Eli Manning becomes Vanilla Vic because, at the time he was very questionable. Let's just say that. We know we love Eli now, but I think half of this room was probably ready to throw him out too, along with Coughlin at the beginning of the year, right? So, but he arises to the occasion, and here's this little kid from Essex County, New Jersey, and who am I? The special teams kid who just gets a shot, and boom. Next thing you know, I catch a helmet on the side of my head to make NFL history. Guess what? It wasn't just 3 moments that I took you through to cement the Giants as a staple of some of the most iconic sports moments, but they were all in the top 30 plays in the NFL, and my moment actually sat at number 3. Number 3 top play in NFL history, right? So it's pretty cool, right? I was born January 3rd. I'm like, the threes are just running me down. But, for me, when I consider this, I really wanted to set the stage because everybody, when you have this moment of fulfillment, right, it's, and especially as a very young man, I think everyone's striving to get to a particular place or what you would call a destination or maybe even a destiny. Like as I listened to the sentiments of our young thespian, you could tell the passion was burning as he wrote that, right? Like he's going to do something. There's a place, there's a destiny that he's trying to arrive to. So a little bit of a recipe for everybody to hold on to, because when you consider that moment, I can assure you that it's going to cost you a lot more than anyone could ever conceive, because, I never feel shortchanged when somebody remembers me for the helmet catch. Trust me, I had a great time. I never feel shortchanged, but I was actually the highest paid special teams player in the league for a few years. I had a good measure of contentment in my life up to that point, but I paid the price for it. And so the first part I really want to tell you, obviously everybody knows we're all, pretty much all Jersey folks here. And the best part about being from Jersey is we got the best of all the worlds, right? It's like you got the grit and you got the gardens, right? Like, we got grass. I tell all my sad New York cousins over there, I'm like, man, come over here and get some grass, man. Change your life. Change your life, man. Just grass alone. And, but obviously I was born at a different time, and everyone is promised adversity. I tell people everyone is promised adversity, and there's some things we'd rather not endure in this life. And I think there's some decisions that we make that we can avoid to not make life harder than it always will be, because I feel like life is a refining furnace. But, hopefully I can minimize the collateral damage by decision. So I realized this, the formula today is discipline plus determination will get you to your destiny. Discipline plus determination will get you to your destiny. So for myself as a young man, growing up in a single parent home, what is a kid lacking at that time? And I think a lot of us grow up with the life. We're born into the family that we're born into, with the set of fortunes or misfortunes, or whatever that is. The good thing is you don't even know that it's misfortune until you begin to start comparing, right? You just got what you got, and life is what it is, So I think we were somewhere in the middle, to the middle lower, and mom did a great job, and dad was close by in Orange and East Orange, and I had supportive parents. But I still had those vices and insecurities. So from alcohol to the women, and, like the machismo was flowing. In today's environment, I'm raising children. My oldest son is 22. And, these kids, they out in the cyber streets. The cyber streets are real right now, But in my era, we were out in the street. I was in those streets. And that's really, when you talk about coming to a place of looking for acceptance, looking for affirmation, thank God sports was the first love, right? So I survived some of those things, but definitely had my early run-ins with my own foolish decisions, with those vices. But thank God football began to provide first the motivation. We hear this often so much. Maybe some of y'all tap in every once in a blue moon on social media. Discipline trumps motivation. But I realized that a young man, and most young people, before they refine this character trait called discipline, they have to find the motivation. They need something to latch on to that's going to give them a reason to wake up and believe that they have a general purpose. And thank God football was mine. Thank God football was mine because, I wasn't great at it and there were so many others, but I had this desire to do something. I can remember as a young kid, I used to wonder, some of y'all may have some pretty cool relatives, and I realized, ain't nobody famous in my family, man. Somebody played the saxophone, somebody daddy in a group or something. Ain't nobody, no Tyree's out here famous. Bump that, man, bump y'all. But, so I had that little chip, right? And everybody deserves a good chip on the shoulder, not the bad ones. They weigh you down too much. But I was fortunate to find this love affair with the game and obviously take that to Syracuse University. But I still had to fight against all that adversity, even all the insecurity, right? Because at the end of the day, I realized that even when it comes to, the excess of substance abuse is really a mask for pain, right? I think if we could just be sober and honest, like everybody's got a journey, and I certainly had mine. But I was masking some pain, the fear of rejection, just the fears that you deal with being a human. And everybody, so we're at a different stage in today's climate of talking about things that weren't really talked about previously. It's a good thing. But I had to navigate that, but I'm still living the dream. Syracuse is not the experience I thought it was. And guess what? I didn't go to Syracuse to become a special teams player. Let me just tell you that, right? So it's a badge of honor when you make it to the NFL as a special teams player. It's not a badge of honor when you get recruited as a top tier athlete and you just have to find your way on the field. But let me tell you what, self-awareness is a superpower. I want every person in here, whatever age or stage of your life, I said the greatest gift that I was given in life was a general sense of self-awareness. And I realized that the only way that I was going to find fulfillment was by making a contribution. Discipline plus determination is what's going to get us to our destiny. I had to figure out, even though the cards were stacked against me, I wasn't sexy. They had Quentin Spotwood, who was a parade All-American from Elizabeth High School. They had Kevin Johnson, who was a kick return All-American. Donovan McNabb, I got to catch it 90%. I'm catching at 70%. The world's crumbling. But I realized, you know what? I got a long way to go. These guys are good. I can't, and the best thing I did, I had an internal mechanism that stacked the cards against me. Meaning like, you know what? For every one pass that I drop, I got to count it like 3. And what I'm trying to tell you is the mental discipline in taking ownership of your process is part of what is going to deliver us to the greatest rewards that we're going to have in this life. Because you won't always feel motivated, but if you can understand that there's a process and the discipline is what creates the guardrails for us to stay on course for that destination. So obviously, through my tremendous adversity and looking to be, a top-tier wide receiver at Syracuse, it didn't go as planned. I was a third wide receiver as a redshirt freshman, third wide receiver as a sophomore, third wide receiver as a junior. How does that happen when everybody's graduating every year? Golly, right? I finally started as a junior more or less, but it was part-time. And I just kind of went through the mill, but at 21 years old, I have this child. And for the first time in my life, just like most young men, not abnormal, I finally began to think about someone else other than myself. Right? The aha moment, like, damn, the world is not about me. Right? And the only reason why, because it was the most powerful, transformative moment of my life. I would go to the line of scrimmage as a young man, visualizing my son. So when I hear psychologists talk about visualization, I'm like, man, I could have told him what to do. Doing that at night at 21 years old, man. But I would be at the line of scrimmage just visualizing what I desired for this unborn son, right? I had a deeper sense of worth and value and determination, right? Discipline plus determination will get us to our destination, but it won't come easy. So obviously, I realized my opportunity was going to come through unconventional means. It wasn't going to, because I was going to be so great a wide receiver. I didn't even feel like I was accomplished. My dream was to be a Division I-A football player. I was living out my dream, but it was unfulfilled. So guess what? Contribution is the gateway to your greatest means of success. So listen, it doesn't matter whether the goal is to hold an Oscar. The moment that you begin to contribute to something greater than yourself will be the first stage of meaning. The moment that you begin to contribute to something greater than yourself will be the first stage of meaning. And that is what opened up the doors, right? A higher purpose, a deeper sense of worth is what opened up the doors. And guess what? I just wanted an opportunity. I'm just a kid from Montclair, New Jersey that no one knows. I wasn't even looked at by the scouts as a junior. But you know what? I put my head down. I did what I had to do. I tackled everything that breathed. I had about 20 tackles as a senior. Had a breakout game against Virginia Tech, and I ran pretty good. Next thing you know, I'm just sitting at home hoping I get drafted right back, in Montclair, New Jersey in 2003, and I get drafted by the New York Football Giants. Well, life is great, right? Now I finally got the money. Now I finally got the affirmation. I had the ladies already, you know what I'm saying? And ultimately, these dreams that we realize, we think that they're it. And I can tell you this, money only amplified everything that I was internally. Now I had more access to alcohol, more access to the women, more access to the vices that I could on inner man. Everybody got an inner man that's trying to rule over the things that we know are prohibiting us to be our greatest man, right? There's some things that's prohibiting you from being your greatest person. And after an amazing season as a rookie, I'm talking about NFL Special Teams Rookie of the Year, Giants Rookie of the Year, man, I had the greatest character exposure as a rookie in the NFL. I was now on my own, free to be who I was, and I was exactly who I was. Smoke every day, drank 3-4 times a week, and after getting fined by Jim Fossil, the wild child himself, at the end of the year, he fined me for $10,000. Said, hey, man, I like you, man, but, you got to get together. I should have fined you $40,000, but I'm going to fine you $10,000. And I'm a kid. When it comes from the keep it real generation, I am Mr. Keep It Real. So, after he hit me for $10,000, I said, well, listen, man, I'm smoking the best bud. I got to go sell it. That's how dumb I was at the age of 24 years old. And not too long, I had the road to Damascus, that intersection where you have a decision to make after getting pulled over with a half a pound of marijuana, right? And for me, that was it. I don't know what it takes for every person to come to a pinnacle of an awakening, but I realized this. There are different points and different depots along the way, but what I did realize is not only could I do better, I must be better. And I want you to think about that in relation to your everyday life, how you approach it attitude-wise. Do you put the burden on yourself to be better? Right? Because even from your best, even if you gave your best could eventually be better. The beautiful things about best to better, right? You're either the best or you're working to be better. But that flows from your being. The powerful part of those words, they all flow from being, not doing. Not doing, it's being. So once you make the determination that you will be the best, not that you will do the best, then you will eventually do better, right? It flows from your being. So that was a pivotal moment for me, but I feel like obviously began to launch me in my destiny. Fast forward, I finally become the man that I envisioned myself to be. After that arrest, within 3 months, I was married. I never drank again. I never smoked again. I never had the desire for it, the appetite for it, free. But I just became this person that I used to dream about. Like, man, who could I be if I wasn't my own worst enemy? Ask yourself that every now and then. Who could you be if you weren't your own worst enemy? And not just by actions, maybe by your thoughts, right? Maybe by association, right? Just ask yourself that every now and then, because I think we all have to self-evaluate if we're really going to improve our process and get to those places of significance. So by the third year, I get rewarded with a respectable contract. For a guy in my days, that was about an average of $1 million a year. Living in Jersey and paying the taxes and raising the family, that went pretty fast. Right? Post taxes, now all the information's out. But no, it was life-changing. And I'm living the dream. But I still felt like there was more. Fast forward, obviously this season goes by, and I'll bring you to one significant story that will kind of tell the tale. Because this still amounts to a sense of believing and belonging. Because what I believed was that I had more. I was more than just a special teams player, right? I was more than just a special teams player. My dream was to be the third wide receiver, and actually my third year in the NFL, I won the third wide receiver position. After, some mediocre performances by Eli and myself, they chose to go another wide receiver direction. So that was a big blow after 5 games. I spent my blood, sweat, equity, everything into that. And I didn't handle it well. Because when you're the kind of underdog that I've been my whole career, I never got it. I never got that true moment of, yeah, man, you are that guy. And just to have it taken just like that. And so much out of my control, right? I think we all have these moments of realization that we wrestle with and find insecurities. But so that was my third season. So by the time we get on the Super Bowl run, that was the first year where, after, up and down, spot duty here, coming to make a play here, I say, you know what, God, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to resolve that what you have for me is for me. Powerful proverb that says, godliness with content is great gain. I kind of rode that in my heart because I just felt like I was wrestling with something internally that was bringing me more stress and anxiety than peace. And I just needed to know that whatever I was going to do, I was going to give it my all and just trust that was going to have to be enough. And the powerful part about that season is I have this injury. I missed the first 2 games. That sucked. But that was actually, that was the 2 games to miss because the defense gave up so many points in those first 2 games. It was hard to watch, let alone participate in. And as much as, in 2 powerful stories, and I'll wrap this up. In the beginning of the year while I had this injury, a friend of mine, he was actually an accountant at the time, called me up, and I just hired him maybe within 3 to 6 months prior to this conversation. He calls me up, he said, I know we just met, it's a little, this is a little, risky. And he said, but I have something, I just kind of been burdened. He said, you mind if I share something with you? I said, sure. He said, man, I just can't get it off my mind. I've just been praying for you. He said, God sees your desire to make his name great. He says, the platform you have right now as a special teams player is not big enough. He's going to make your name great as a wide receiver. This is in September. I'm nursing a 6-week injury, and I almost got cut. They chose to keep me because of my special teams abilities. Thank God. All right? And I got to march on, and I'm just a believer, right? I believe that God can do anything, so I don't limit life. I don't limit God. So I said, man, I'll go for it. Now in my brain, I'm thinking, I'm calculating, how you going to do this? Somebody's got to, we got to move some pieces out the way for me so I can shine, so I can do my thing. But man, it was the worst year of my life. Statistically, I had the least tackles, the least catches. And next thing you know, December hits and my mom passes away. Discipline, determination will get you to your destiny. And as I finished, I missed 2 games, and I come into the last game of the season, which is well recorded, against New England that we do lose. And all of a sudden, guess who's in the game plan? Little David, Shepherd. And we fast forward and we get to the night before the game. Because what I want to invite every single one of you is you have a moment that you have to catch. And if you've caught something significant, there's still more. I'm still living, I'm still breathing, and there's still a moment of revival that I'm expecting in my life, even still to today. But if we don't have the discipline, the belief, right, I'm going to have one little thing that we'll recite here together that's going to lead you to your moment, right? But we have to have the discipline. We have to have the resolve for when things don't look like it, to stay the course. You have to have the determination, which is the gasoline within your own soul, to continue to plow and do what's right. Because I believe that how we live needs to line up with those peculiar moments of success. I believe that I can probably do some things to destroy my destiny if I choose, right? So the night before the game, biggest game of my life, right? And I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful to make a contribution, block a punt, make some tackles, get a safety. But as I prayed, one of my close teammates, his mom, we got close, and she was a pastor in Jacksonville, Florida. She's a fiery lady, had a gold tooth and everything. I'm like, I ain't never met a pastor with a gold tooth. That's what I'm talking about. And we prayed the night before the game, and she said, David, she prayed for my wife and our twins. My wife was out there 8 months pregnant, wilding around, believing, hoping to stomp on some Patriot butt. And she said, David, God's quickening your feet. He's giving you hinds feet like the feet of a deer to jump high. And then she said, the Lord is putting spiritual glue on your hands. I know this is spiritual, but this is some real stuff. And then the last thing she said is, God's going to give you the big play. Now, like I said, if you said that to me, I believe you, because it's good. Sounds good. Sounds like it's going to work out for me. No reason not to believe you, right? So I believed her. I believed her. And as she finished up, her husband got on the phone and said, the world will no longer remember you as a special teams player, but as a wide receiver. Man, I said, and I'll tell you what, when she said God's going to give you the big play, I remember it. And I said, man, I hope they call that pop pass on the goal line. And don't you know, as we go ahead in the fourth quarter and the game starts to open up, Kevin Boss rips one down the middle of the field. We get to the goal line, and they call this W, 76. It was 76, sell it, wide pop pass. There you go, guy. And that was a play specifically for me. And the dark horse scores a go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter, what I call the most forgotten touchdown in Super Bowl history. And I believe right now, at this moment, I believe we're all set. Hey, defense, straight hand, go get them, boys. Tuck, great job. OC, go get them, boys. Because the defense is playing like they got their hair on fire. And don't you know, Tom Brady assumes Tom Brady form, comes back, they score, and sets Eli Manning up for his coming out party. Eli Manning becomes Vanilla Vic, because he was you could blow on Eli back then and he would fall. You know, we kind of speculated whether or not Eli had Down syndrome at one point. You know, we weren't sure. Some of those faces were a little suspect. And I'm the black guy who can't jump, so I don't have that much to say. But I tell you, when you have a moment that's meant for you, the exhortation for everyone here is that I can assure you that formula in whatever area of life, if you believe and you know that you belong, there's a moment that's destined and waiting for you. Discipline plus determination will cause you to meet your destiny. I want to thank you, DISCA. You guys are amazing, and God bless. It's a goodie. I got some time. My time is your time. We got some questions. Football, non-football. I got 7 kids. I got a lot of wisdom. I told you, like Yoda. Obviously, we got some signed photos. They're a little tall, so be careful if you're going to frame it. 8 by 12. I don't know how that happened, but life happens. We'll sign some photos. Any questions, please? Questions? Please. Man, that's an uncomfortable. Out of all the questions you asked, anything else with that. So as you can imagine, obviously, it was easy to keep the touchdown ball. So, if you think in your head right now, you might imagine who. Anybody want to guess who has the football? Eli.
Did Rodney Harrison finally get it?
No, that would be a curse. He would probably deflate it and destroy it. No, so obviously my catch was a 3rd down and 5. And, I don't know. Honestly, people ask, I didn't know it was on my helmet. Right. And I just knew it was a great catch. I knew I was doing my job. And I go back to the sideline, high five, rest in peace, Jared Lorenzen. And, hefty lefty. And we got to go win the game. It doesn't matter if you don't win the game. So obviously, who scores the touchdown? Plaxico Burress. So the only reason I never gave it thought for quite a long time because, number one, we won. Number 2, we won. And I played a huge role. But Spike Lee did a documentary and he brought the football to the documentary, and I almost choked him. because he wasn't a good enough friend to swap footballs, you know. Like I said, I got a touchdown ball here, right? So Plaxico has a 2-for-1 deal. Great question. Yeah. Anything else, guys? I'm yours. I get it. Hopefully it wasn't too long.
Where are these guys in the line of your 7 kids?
These guys are my post-career, the post-career Tyrees. So I have sons, 22, 19, identical twin girls. My Super Bowl babies, 2.5 weeks after the Super Bowl. They're 16, 14-year-old Solomon, 12-year-old Samuel, and 10-year-old Alina Bella, the boss baby. I'm surviving 7 kids. Thank you. I've done my part. Like,
You ain't done yet.
anything else? We get some photos? Let's do it. And if you like, I think this is 20. It's